picture this. You're sitting in the little glass office at the car dealership. It's 8:30 p.m. You've been there for 3 hours, you're tired, you're hungry, you just want to go home in something that doesn't smell like old fries and broken dreams. The salesperson spins their monitor around and smiles. Okay, so, with your trade-in and everything, we can get you into this one for just $597 a month. That's it. Under $600. And honestly, for your income, that's nothing. You deserve this. They slide the pen across the desk. You do the math in your head. Kinda. 600 sounds like a lot, but spread over 30 days? That's what, $20 a day. You've been driving a beater forever. Your coworkers all have nice cars. You're sick of worrying if your old one's gonna die on the highway. So you think, you know what? I work hard. I can afford it. You sign. Fast forward a few months. You're at the gas pump watching the numbers climb. Your bank app notification pops up. See our loan payment, $597.23 processed. Your checking balance drops. Again. Rent or mortgage. Insurance. Groceries. Student loans. And that same car payment. Every single month. You start noticing this pattern where every time money comes in, it leaves. Like, immediately. You're not going on crazy vacations, you're not buying designer clothes, but somehow you're always right on the edge. And there's this thought you kind of try not to think. Did I just lock myself into being broke? For a car? That question? That's exactly the one I obsess over. My name is Alex, and I spend way too much time thinking about money traps, especially the ones that look completely normal, like a $600 car payment, but quietly keep people stuck for years. If you've ever looked at your budget and thought, everything would feel so much easier if it weren't for this stupid car payment, this is for you. Because this isn't just about cars. It's not cars are bad or never finance anything. It's about a very specific trap that millions of people are in right now. The $600 car payment trap. The one that takes what could have been your wealth, your options, your peace of mind, and turns it into a slowly depreciating hunk of metal in your driveway. By the end of this, I want you to see that payment totally differently. Not as the cost of being an adult, but as one of the biggest reasons so many Americans who look middle class are actually one missed paycheck away from disaster. And if you're already in the trap right now, we're gonna talk about how to actually get out without nuking your life. Alright, let's get into it. 1. How normal people get talked into a $600 payment. The first thing I want you to understand is, if you ended up with a $600 plus car payment, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It means the system did exactly what it was designed to do. Think about what happens at a dealership. You don't walk in and say, I would like a $39,000 liability that loses value every year. You walk in and say, I can probably swing about $400 a month. And they say, cool, what if I told you, for just a little more each month, you could get leather seats, a sunroof, and all the safety features. Plus we can roll the taxes and fees into the loan so you don't have to pay anything up front. Then, they stretch the loan from 48 months to 72 or 84 months. They play with the interest rate. They talk only in monthly payments, not the total cost. Suddenly that $400 you had in your head becomes $580 then. We're so close, let's just call it $597 and I'll talk to my manager. You're exhausted. You've already pictured yourself driving this thing to work tomorrow. They're telling you it's normal, everybody's payment is around this now. It's just part of life. So you sign. And this is important, in that moment you didn't buy a car. You bought a monthly obligation. You bought a promise that for the next 5, 6, 7 years, a chunk of your income is already spoken for before you even earn it. The car just happens to come with it. 2. Why $600 is more dangerous than it looks. Let's strip all the dealership drama away and just look at what that $600 really means in your life. Say you bring home about $4,000 after taxes each month. That's not crazy. That might be a $60, $70K salary depending on where you live and what's taken out. A $600 car payment is 15% of your take-home pay. 15%. And that's just the payment. Not gas, not insurance, not maintenance. Just the right to keep the keys and watch the value drop every year. Now, most financial planners will tell you all your transportation costs combined, car, gas, insurance, maintenance, really shouldn't be more than about 10 to 15% of your take-home income if you want to have room to build wealth. But with a $600 payment on $4,000 take-home, you're already at 15% before you put a single gallon of gas in the tank. Realistically, once you add $150, $200 in insurance, $150 in gas, a little set aside for tires, oil changes, repairs, you're probably closer to $900 to $1,000 a month just to own and operate this car. Now, out of $4,000, that's 25%. $1 out of every $4 you earn is going to transportation. And here's the scary part. Most people in this situation don't actually know that's what's happening. They just feel like, ugh, money's always tight. It's not tight by accident. The car is eating it. 3. The trap isn't just the money, it's the margin. If this was just about $600 is a lot, it would be simple. The real damage is what that payment does to your margin. Margin is the money you have left after your must-pays. Housing, utilities, food, transportation, minimum debt payments. That leftover money, your margin, is what builds your future. It's your emergency fund, your investments, your extra debt payments, I can walk away from this job if I need to fund. When your margin is big, you have options. When your margin is tiny, you have stress. A $600 car payment doesn't just cost $600. It steals margin. It turns, I could save $600 this month into, I hope nothing bad happens before next payday. It turns, I could put an extra $300 on my credit card and be out of debt in 2 years into, I guess I'll just keep making the minimums. It turns, maybe I could start a business on the side and build something into, I don't even have the mental energy to think about that. That's the trap. As long as that payment exists, your future is being funded last, if at all. 4. The golden steering wheel, how your car owns you. There's another angle here that people don't talk about enough, how that monthly payment affects your career decisions. Let's say your boss starts treating you badly. Or the workload quietly doubles with no raise. Or your company hints at layoffs. If your life costs, say, $2,500 a month and you take home $4,000, you've got some breathing room. You can afford to look around for a better job. Turn down overtime you don't want. Maybe even quit a toxic place without immediately spiraling. But if your life costs $3,800 a month, because a big chunk of it is locked into car payments and other fixed bills, suddenly you have no flexibility. You can't risk a gap between jobs. One missed paycheck and you're in panic mode. One unexpected bill, and it's credit cards or borrowing from family. So what happens? You stay. You put up with stuff you shouldn't put up with. You say yes to all the extra shifts. You don't negotiate as hard. You cling to the job because you have to. That shiny new car that was supposed to be the symbol of making it quietly becomes a pair of golden handcuffs. People think debt just affects your bank account. It doesn't. It changes how brave you're allowed to be. And $600 a month, every month, for years, is enough to make a lot of people play small with their entire life. 5. The wealth you never see, what $600 could have been. Now let's talk about the ghost in this story, what that $600 could have been doing instead. I know, opportunity cost talk can sound boring. But this is the part that actually blows my mind every time. Say instead of that $600 payment, you were driving a fully paid off, not fancy but reliable car, and you decided, you know what, I'm going to send that $600 to future me every month. So you invested in something super boring, a low-cost index fund, and earn, say, 8% a year on average over the long term. What does that turn into? In 5 years, around $36,000 of your own contributions plus about $8,000 in growth equals roughly $44,000. In 10 years, $72,000 in contributions plus around $34,000 in growth equals roughly $106,000. In 15 years, $108,000 in contributions plus around $83,000 in growth equals roughly $191,000. That's one car payment, redirected. And here's the crazy part. Most people don't just have one cycle of $600 payments. They finance a car for 6 years. Trade it in when the loan is almost done. Roll the leftover balance into a new loan. Start another 6 years of payments. Repeat. So instead of ending up with 1 decade of annoying payments and 6 figures in investments, they end up with 2 decades of payments. Nothing to show for it at the end but a car worth a fraction of what they paid. That's not just. Cars are expensive. That's robbery by habit. 6. But I need a reliable car, the emotional side. At this point you might be thinking, okay, Alex, but I'm not buying a Lambo. I just don't want to get stranded on the highway. I have kids. I commute. I need a decent car. And honestly, that's fair. Cars are not optional for most Americans. Public transit is a joke in a lot of places. Your job might be 30 minutes away on a good day. The trap works because of that necessity. You're not deciding between a car and no car. You're deciding between a car that quietly keeps you broke and a car that quietly makes you rich over time. The problem is the way the industry, and honestly our culture, messes with your emotions around cars. You don't see them as tools. You see them as status. What will people think when I pull up in this? Identity. Am I the kind of person who drives that? Reward. I finally make good money. I deserve something nice. So instead of asking, what's the cheapest reliable transportation I can live with right now so I can buy my freedom? We ask, what's the nicest car I can get away with monthly? The dealers know this. The lenders know this. That's why they're totally fine stretching you to an 84-month loan. They're selling you a feeling, not a financial decision. And honestly, that's why smart, hard-working people end up stuck. The car isn't just a payment, it's proof that you're not struggling anymore. Downsizing feels like failure. Driving an old paid-off car feels like going backward, even if your net worth is sprinting forward. If you want to escape the trap, you can't just change the math. You have to be willing to change the story you tell yourself about what your car says about you. 7. The system is built to stretch you. Let me pull back the curtain on how stacked this game really is. Think about all the players that profit when you say yes to that $600 plus payment. The dealer makes money on the sale, the trade-in, the add-ons, maybe even the financing. The lender collects interest for 5 to 7 years. The longer the term, the more they make. The manufacturer books a sale at full sticker or close to it. The insurance company gets to charge higher premiums on a newer, more expensive car. They all win when you finance more, for longer, at a higher price. You know who doesn't win? You. And notice how every conversation at the dealership is engineered to lower your resistance. Nothing due today. Well, roll everything into the loan. Numb you to big numbers. It's only $40 more a month for the nicer trim. Make you feel like this is totally normal. Most of our customers are at this payment range, you're right in line. They will literally extend your loan term, 72, 84 months, just to hit the monthly number that feels okay to you. But underneath that okay number is a total cost that might be thousands or tens of thousands more than you think. Again, you're not buying a car. You're buying a 7-year drain on your future. 8. What if you're already in the trap? Alright, let's get practical, because a lot of people watching this aren't on the verge of buying. You're in the middle of a loan right now thinking, Cool, so I screwed up. Now what? First, breathe. This is not about shame. You made a decision with the information and emotions you had at the time. Now we're getting better information. You've basically got three broad paths. Option 1: keep the car, change everything around it. If selling or refinancing right now isn't realistic, your job becomes crushing every other non-essential cost. Building an emergency buffer so the car doesn't torpedo you when something else goes wrong. And making very sure this is the last big payment trap you ever sign up for. You can say, okay, for the next X years until this is paid off, my life is going to be super boring financially. Fewer trips, fewer takeouts, more roommates, more side income, whatever it takes. Not fun. But if it keeps you out of credit card debt and lets you pay it off on schedule, it beats compounding one mistake into 10. Option 2: sell the car and downshift. This is the emotionally hard one that is often the mathematically smart one. It looks like selling the car, even if you have to bring a little cash to the table. Buying a cheaper, reliable used car in cash or with a much smaller loan. Taking the difference in payment, say you go from $600 to $250, and sending that extra $350 straight into savings or investments. People resist this because it feels like a downgrade. But if downgrading your car upgrades your entire financial life? That's not a downgrade. That's a trade-up in disguise. Imagine you free up $350 a month. You do that for 3 years while driving something a little less shiny. You've saved or invested over $12,000. Now your next car decision is coming from a place of strength, not desperation. That's how you break the cycle. Tag option 3: refinance or reamortize, carefully. Sometimes you're not in a position to sell, and you can't carry the current payment. That's when you might look at refinancing to a lower interest rate, or stretching the term a bit to lower the payment. This can give you breathing room, but it's also how people end up in 84-month zombie loans. If you go this route, your mission is to attack the principal whenever you have extra money. Treat the lower payment as an emergency measure, not a reason to loosen your lifestyle. And again, make absolutely sure you're not repeating this with your next car. Whatever option you choose, the key is the same. You stop seeing the $600 payment as normal adulting and start seeing it as temporary damage control. 9. New rules for cars that won't keep you poor. If you want to never fall into this trap again, you need a few simple guardrails. Not complicated, just non-negotiable. Here's a framework a lot of financially free people quietly follow. 1. Total car value less than or equal to 20 to 25% of your annual income. Make $60,000? Try to keep the car's price in the $12,000 to $15,000 range, not $40,000. This alone keeps payments, if you have them, much smaller. 2. Total transportation costs less than or equal to 10 to 15% of your take-home pay. That includes payment, insurance, gas, maintenance. If you're over that, it's a warning sign. 3. Aim to eventually pay cash for cars. Not necessarily your very first one, but that's the direction. Drive paid-off cars longer. Let your money grow elsewhere instead of in the driveway. 4. Never finance a car longer than 48 to 60 months. If the only way you can afford it is a 72 to 84-month loan, you can afford it. 5. Treat cars as tools, not trophies. They get you from point A to point B. They are not proof you're successful. Your freedom is. You don't have to do this perfectly. But the closer you stay to these rules, the less likely you are to wake up trapped. 10. Redefining what looking successful really means. I want to leave you with this, because this is where the real mindset shift happens. Right now, in our culture, it is completely normal to drive a $45,000 SUV, have a $700 payment, have $0 to $500 in savings, and put groceries on a credit card. People will look at that and say, they're doing well. It is not normal, but it should be, to drive a 10-year-old Honda that's paid off, Have $30,000 in investments, a growing emergency fund, and the ability to say no at work without fear. People will look at that and think, why are they driving that old car? Meanwhile, that person is actually rich, not in Instagram terms, but in options. The $600 car payment trap works because it hijacks your desire to look like you're doing okay and uses it to keep you from ever actually being okay. Breaking out of it means being willing, for a while, to look less successful than you are so that later, you can quietly be more successful than anyone realizes. It means being the person who says, yeah, my car isn't fancy, but it's paid for. They'll catch the next trip. This year I'm stacking cash. I'd rather my bank account look good than my driveway. Is that always fun? No. Is it always easy? Definitely not. But if you play this right, there's a version of you 10 years from now who has no car payments, has a fat investment account, has options at work, and buys whatever car they want in cash, and then barely thinks about it. That person is built by the decisions you make with this car, this payment, this moment. So if you're staring at a $600 bill every month and feeling that knot in your stomach, listen to it. It's not just anxiety. It's your future self saying, we can do better than this. You don't have to fix it overnight. But you can. Run the real numbers on your car. Decide if it's worth what it's costing you. Make a plan, even a messy one, to get out of the trap over the next few years. Every month you keep that payment, the trap gets tighter. Every step you take to shrink it, or kill it, loosens it. And that's how you go from, this car owns me to, this car was just a chapter, not the whole story. If this hit a little too close to home and made you see your car payment differently, that's good. Use that. Don't just click away and forget it. Open your numbers. Talk to your partner if you have one. Run through the options. Your car shouldn't be the reason you stay poor. Let it be the last trap you ever fall for, and the first one you actually climb out of.